Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday, January 14th meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. If you will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Meg, can you please conduct the roll call?
Sure. Mr. Dubois.
Here.
Mr. Enig.
Here.
Ms. Hirsch.
Here.
Mr. King.
Here.
Mr. Montano.
Here.
Mr. Soda.
Here.
Mr. Wolf.
Here.
And Ms. Ferrante.
Here.
And I'm David Sulkus, the city planner, and at the moment acting chair to conduct the election of a chairperson and secretary. But before we do that, I'd like to congratulate Sarah Ferrante and Gary Dubois for being reappointed to the board. Congratulations. On to the elections. I would take a nomination, if there is any, for chairman.
I nominate Sarah Ferrante.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any other nominations for chairman? Going once? Going twice? We'll take a vote anyway for chairman. So all those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed? It is unanimous. Congratulations, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate the nomination and the vote, and I'm happy to continue on as chair of this wonderful board. And with that, I would like to move on to nominating our secretary. I would like to nominate Gary Montano as secretary.
Second.
Second from Mr. King. Thank you so much. Any other nominations? Okay, great. All those in favor of Mr. Montano as secretary? Any opposed? Wonderful. Congratulations, Mr. Montano.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, wonderful. So we've got only a couple of items here tonight. If you're here for 114 Point Lookout, that item has been postponed to next month. Okay, so we will start with 15 George Street. Mr. Montano.
Wait a minute, Tom. Wait a minute.
I will.
15 George Street, MBP 55/503/10, R7.5, Thomas Lynch, Esquire, for Jennifer Major, owner, varying section 6.2.1, expansion of non-conforming two-family use to allow construction of a first floor addition, surveyed by R. Plain, June 24th. Thank you.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, congratulations again. And members of the board, just for the record, my name is Thomas Lynch. I'm an attorney with the law firm Lynch, Trimbicki & Boynton, and my office is located here in Milford at 63 Cherry Street. And I have the pleasure of appearing before you tonight representing Jennifer Major, who's the owner of the property at 15 George Street. I will let you in on a little secret. Jennifer is my niece. She's also here with her parents, Jackie and Joe Major. And this is an application to vary section 621 to allow an expansion of a non-conforming use in the R75 zone. So just by way of a little background, Jennifer purchased the property back in August of 2021. The house was constructed roughly in 1920. It consists of 2 units on a non-conforming 7,000 square foot lot in the R75 zone, where 7,500 square feet now is required as a conforming lot. The house consists, as I said, of 2 units. And if you're familiar with that area, and especially around the corner on Harborview Avenue, there are a number of multifamily houses in that area. The houses were all constructed during the 1920s, prior to the institution of our zoning regulations in 1930. So these are legal, non-conforming residences. The application before you tonight is been considered by Stephen Harris to be an expansion of the non-conforming use. I had a rather spirited discussion with Stephen prior to filing this application. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think it was necessary. We are not expanding the number of units in the dwelling. I'll go into it in just a few minutes. There's a 400 square foot addition that's being constructed to the rear portion of the property to expand a master bedroom suite with a walk-in closet and a bathroom. That addition is completely zoning compliant. In the R75 zone, you're required to hold 10 feet off of one side of the side yard and 5 feet off the other side. This addition has a setback of 11 feet on the north side and 5.3 feet on the south side. So the important, point to stress right here is the addition itself is completely zoning compliant. In addition to that, we are eliminating a nonconformity. The garage that exists at the rear portion of the property right now is not zoning compliant. The rear setback is some 3 feet. In that zone, you're required to have a rear setback of 5 feet and a 4-foot side yard setback. The new garage that's on the plans, and David, I don't know if you want to start to scroll through the plans so I can show everybody what's going on here. The new addition is shown on the screen. As I said, it's 20 feet by 20 feet. It's some 400 square feet for the master bedroom addition. It'll have a deck on the side. The 5-foot 3-inch side yard setback is on the southerly side of the property. The 11-foot setback, which is current on the north side of the property, will be maintained. To the rear portion, there's a new garage that's going to be constructed. There's a smaller garage that's there now. It will accommodate 2 cars plus a work shed that Joe will be tinkering around in once the garage is built. But again, the nonconformity that exists with the current garage will be removed, and this new garage will be zoning compliant. It'll have a 5-foot setback on the rear side and a 4-foot setback on the other side. So, as I said, I didn't really see where the necessity was to file this application because we're not putting an addition on the building to expand the number of units. A 2-family house is going to remain a 2-family house. But it was the opinion of Stephen, and he's the gatekeeper of permits. His opinion was that this application was necessary, so that's why we filed it, and that's why we're here tonight. So unless there's any other questions, I'm happy to, if there are any questions, I'm happy to entertain them, but that's the extent of our presentation to you.
Thank you. Seems pretty straightforward. Out of curiosity, I think I missed it. The existing garage is non-compliant how? Is it a side yard?
It's the side yard, yes.
Okay.
I think I may have said the rear yard. I think it's the side yard.
Okay.
One of the setbacks is
Sure.
off, right? But the new garage will have 4 feet on the side, 5 feet to the rear, which is zoning compliant.
Are there any other existing nonconformities?
None.
So this property, when adjusted, if adjusted, will be completely zoning compliant, save for this issue here tonight with the expansion of the
The
use?
structure itself, in terms of
Yeah.
setbacks and building coverage and lot coverage. As I said at the outset, the lot itself is a legal non-conforming lot. It's 7,000 square feet in the R75 zone.
Great.
Okay?
Any other questions? Mr. Wolf?
Mr. Lynch,
Yeah, Chris.
curious on these properties, are they running 2 meters on these?
Pardon me?
2 meters, 2
Yes.
electric?
Good evening, Attorney Lynch. How are you?
Hi, Andy.
The addition, does it have, how many ingresses or egresses does it have to the exterior from the new addition?
It has a new deck that's going to go off to the side, and I think, David, if you could pull that up, there's the deck that's on the side, that's it. Scroll down, yes, that's it. There are elevations also, so David, if you want to keep scrolling. The addition was designed by John Whitko. He did a great job with it. It's very well laid out in terms of aesthetically and in terms of utilization of the lot. There you go.
All right, so the addition only has one egress then, right?
Correct. It's the deck right on the side.
Okay.
Yep.
And the utility, it has the same utilities as I would imagine the first floor?
Yep.
With the first floor? Okay.
It's just an expansion of the first floor unit.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? All right, is there anyone speaking in favor of this application?
Madam Chair, if I can just state into the record, Joe received an email from David Murray, his neighbor at 19 George Street. I didn't get it to Meg to upload to the agenda, but he was in favor of this application.
Okay, great.
Yep.
If you could forward that to Meg.
Sure.
As soon as you can, that'd be great. All right, anybody else? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Robert Luisi, and I am owner of 26 Harborside Drive. My property abuts where that new addition's going to go. If you don't mind, would you blow up that where the numbers are? Because I found a discrepancy.
Sir, excuse me, are you speaking in favor of this
No, I'm
application?
not. I am not.
Okay, then hold on one moment. Is there anyone else speaking in favor of the application? Okay, so now we'll take comments opposed.
Okay.
Continue, please.
Anyways, would you go to page 3, please? And if you would blow up those numbers about the, I'm sorry, next section down about the lot size and the building and lot coverage sizes. I went through and I looked at those numbers to make sure that they conformed with the regulations. And unfortunately, there's some calculation errors on those statements. And I think the most important thing is the lot coverage. As far as I could determine, the lot coverage maximum is 60% of the property. And that includes driveways, sidewalks, and so forth. And their calculation over there, they're showing it at 51%. Unfortunately, it's not correct. One of the things that kind of bothers me is that in that lot coverage, we'll just talk about the lot coverage, is that there's no explanation of the sidewalk. If you notice on the property, there's a sidewalk off the side door going back to the back door. If that is made out of, quote, some type of hard material, that lot coverage comes up to close to 60%, which is right at the threshold of the requirement of the building requirements. And the reason I bring this up is because my property abuts this property, and based on roof lines and so forth like that, I cannot determine where the slope of these roof lines are going to be, such that when water comes off this property, it will come into my property, because I am probably 6 to 80 inches below their property, and I am concerned about flooding in my yard also. I'm not really against this new building, but I think it has certain ramifications that it could harm my property, which I think is important for everybody to realize.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
Go ahead.
So, sir, what are you saying is the percentage of lot coverage?
It's close to, if you can,
Close to 60 or above
no,
60?
depending on the size of that sidewalk, because the sidewalk is not included in this lot coverage.
Is the sidewalk on the plan?
It's in this plan here. Walkway. It's the walkway, not the sidewalk.
Okay.
All right, hold on one second. Mr. Solkis, are sidewalks, driveways, and other such considered when we calculate lot coverage?
Our definition of lot coverage The portion or percentage of a lot occupied or intended to be occupied by all buildings, structured and paved areas other than walkways. So walkways are not included in lot coverage.
Driveways are?
I'll read it to you again.
Okay.
The portion or percentage of lot occupied or intended to be occupied by all buildings, structured and paved areas other than walkways. So a driveway would be a paved area that's not a walkway.
Correct. Okay.
That's fine. But still, without that walkway, the percentage is at 57%, which is very close to the threshold, and I think the board needs to take that into consideration.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr.
Are
Wall.
you getting hit with water now? Are you?
Yes.
You had a history of water
Yes,
issues in the
yes,
past?
I have a history, I have a problem with drainage right now.
And it's directly proportional to this one property or
No,
multiple?
it's just the nature of the property. It's probably a very, it's a hard pan, such that water does not seep. I actually have a gravel driveway, and even with a gravel driveway, I have seepage issues.
Understood. Thank you.
Mr. King.
Why do you think this new construction here will impact your property with more water?
Well, going back to the building coverage, the building coverage is going to increase by 38%. It's about 700 square feet. And if you look at the garage, the majority of the garage is pitched, the roof pitch line is towards my property. So between that, plus the additional of the building, I'm afraid that that will just increase water flow, and we all understand, whether we believe it or not, there is some type of climate change happening, that my property has the potential to be, let's say, flooded more than it is today.
Sir, have you talked to the owners and tried to resolve this?
No,
That would be your best, that would be your best bet.
No. Unfortunately, I received this notice yesterday. It was mailed on January 7th. Whether I was not home for a couple days, I went down to town hall to look for the permit or the plans. They told me to go online. I went online, and I've gone through it from there. Yes, but obviously this is the first I've seen it, as just like you've seen it, and it brings up an issue that could be a detriment to my property. That's all.
Because I don't know if, David, does engineering get involved on additions as far as the runoff on gutters and stuff, or is that only new houses?
The building department may look at this, but I don't think that engineering would look at this. This is viewed as an addition in a garage, which the building department looks at. And,
Yeah, but building department, they don't care about the gutters. Engineering does on a new house.
yeah.
But not on, I don't think an addition, so I think your best bet is to get a resolution with the owners.
Right. But I had to come here to, first of all, to explain my position, also to say this is a flawed application because the numbers are not correct. And two, to examine what's going on, because I understand the lot coverage of 60% is a very critical factor, especially in today's environment.
Thank you so much
Well,
for coming.
one thing we look at is 60%, as long as they're below 60%, that's all we care about.
Right.
Because then they would need a variance if they go over.
Right. But you're just like anything, you're relying on, how can I say, what is submitted today and what actually occurs tomorrow can be two different things. And when it gets close, you have to be very careful, so.
Yes, thank you so much. Any other questions?
Sir, Mr. Solkis had told us that you said the sidewalks were the issue with the lot coverage. He's told us that the definition of lot coverage does not include the sidewalk.
No, I understand that.
But you're saying the number is still off even without the sidewalk?
No. The 57% is without either the sidewalks or the walkway.
So you're saying that the number that's on these plans is wrong?
Correct.
Even without the sidewalks?
Correct.
Mr. Solkis, do you see that?
I don't see where it's wrong. I see that the applicant is stating that the lot coverage, the proposed lot coverage is 50.96%. So it's 9%, basically 9% less than the maximum that they could be allowed.
You have to review the numbers are not correct. I gladly will share a sheet with you.
Well, you know what, we have an A2 survey with certified, he's certifying this is correct, so that's what we have to go by.
I understand that, but like anything, like a carpenter, measure twice, cut
Yep,
once.
I understand.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else speaking opposed to this application? Okay, are there any other questions from the board? Do you have anything?
Very minor rebuttal. I'll go by David's definition of what lot coverage is, and I assume that Richard Plain knew what the definition of lot coverage was because he didn't include the walkways on his legend when he set forth lot coverage on the property. So you have a surveyor who issued his A2 survey. We stand by the numbers. I'm not going to elaborate on the speaker's characterization is the application is flawed, but the application is not flawed. But be that as it may, I've spoken to my clients and they're happy to work with the neighbor and in the installation of that walkway. They can do a dry pit or something with a grate over it that hopefully would alleviate any issue of any water going from that walkway onto his property. So that's it. Thanks.
Wonderful, thank you. With no other questions, this hearing is closed. Mr. Soto?
15 George Street, I move to approve the request to vary section 6.2.1, expansion of non-conforming two-family use to allow construction of first floor addition, surveyed by R. Plain, 6/17/24.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. All right, I appreciate that the neighbor came out tonight to voice his concerns. I think that, we have a stamped and certified survey here. It's been submitted to the city, and we here tonight can only work with the numbers on this page, assuming that they are correct. Even if they are incorrect and lot coverage goes to 57%, that's still below 60%, and we're not here tonight to issue a decision on lot coverage. That's not the variance being requested. So the rest of this the rest of this structure is zoning compliant. The applicant is reducing nonconformities. I personally don't see a problem with this application, especially since the homeowner is willing to work with the neighbor on the drainage situation.
I agree with Sarah on this. We're actually reducing some nonconformities on this deal, so, and it looks like it's going to be a nice construction.
We know John Wicko well. We've seen a lot of his properties, and I'm sure the major property will work with permeable materials, and walkways should not be an issue. I'm good with it.
I'm fine with it.
Okay, on to a vote then. Mr. King,
With the motion.
Mr. Wolf,
With the motion.
Mr. Soto,
With the motion.
Mr. Montano,
With the motion.
and I'm with the motion. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, item number 2, Mr. Montano.
Number 9 Beach Avenue, MVP 82/784/4, R12.5. Attorney Kevin Crusaden, Esquire, for Ackerman Realty, owner. Varying section 3.1.4.1 to 15 feet, where 30 feet are required. Varying section 4.1.4, southerly side yard setback to 7.1, where 8 is required, and northerly side yard setback to 7.8, where 8 required, all for the construction of a new single-family house with garage, surveyed by Flanagan, 12/24.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. For the record, my name is Kevin Kersaden. My office is at 3 Lafayette Street here in Milford. With me tonight are my clients, the Ackermans. We were here, some of you were not present for the November meeting, but we were here in November for a similar application, but this one, we've made some substantial changes to it. First off, we are no longer asking for the side yard setback variances. We've removed those from the plans, and we had submitted revised plans a week or so ago to Stephen. So the 2 side yard setbacks are no longer being asked for. They're no longer required. When we came here in November, we were asking for a garage that was about 4 feet longer and closer to the street than the garage that we're asking for tonight. So the previous variance was a front yard setback. I think it was for 10 or 12 feet where 30 feet required. Now we're asking for 15 feet where 30 feet required. It's worth noting that the existing garage is about, because of the angle of the road, but it ranges between 17 and 18 feet from the street. The current structure is well over 100 years old. It might even have been built in the late 1800s. That's when the lot was created. It's a pre-existing legal non-conforming lot. It's R12-5 zone. We have several legal hardships that I talked about the last time we were here, but the most significant one is the narrowness of the lot. The lot is significantly narrow at lot is 25 feet narrow for the zone, so it's 55 feet where 80 feet is required, so it's 21% too narrow. The area of usable land, even though it's an R12-5 zone, is a little under 7,500 square feet. So the lot size, it's 41% undersized when considered unbuildable land area. And the unbuildable land area I'm talking about is the FEMA flood zone area. The property does front on the water. The angle of the front yard along the street is a little bit unusual. It's not straight, it's not squared on the property lines or to the side lot lines. And what's driving the house towards the street is the flood zone. So the new structure, the actual house itself, will be built out of the flood zone if it's approved here, and then also we have to go for a coastal site plan review approval with the Planning and Zoning Board. But the house structure itself will be out of the flood zone, but in order to do that, we need to push it towards the street. So your comments, some of the board member comments last time we were here were, could you decrease the garage about 4 feet or so? We decreased the length of the garage a little over 4 feet. They've worked with their architect on it. We've removed, there was some comments about, the side yard setback variances were minor. It was just for the steps, the stair projections on each side of the house, and was asking for, I think, less than a foot on each side, but they've revised that with the architect and removed that as well. So there are significant legal hardships that run with the land that are different, impact this property differently than what's allowed or what properties in the R12-5 zone citywide have to address because it being in the flood zone and because it's, it's basically half the size, at least half the width anyway, or close to, 21% too narrow for the zone. On an unrelated project, I had done a lot of research recently about the zones in Woodmont and why this is R12-5, and because if you look at this section of Woodmont, it had been R10 originally for years and years, and then all of a sudden they came in as R12-5, R7-5, R5. If you go from street to street in Woodmont, the zones are all over the place. So what it looked like they did is they took the lots on the waterfront and made them R12-5, and then they took some lots along New Haven Avenue and made those R12-5. So there wasn't, I don't think, a lot of, this property didn't have the ability to be created under the zoning regulations or even know what the zoning regulations were at the time, and that's why we're in this situation. It's a reasonably sized house. The upside is not zoning related, but building code and FEMA code and fire code related. It would be upgrading a house to the existing code, which is important too. So pending I do have some emails of support and letters of support. I can read those in now, or I can wait until the proper time, Madam Chair, whatever.
Yeah, let's just move to questions. We can read those in a minute.
Okay.
Did you say that the side yard setback requests are being eliminated? Because I'm
Correct.
seeing them here in the agenda.
You are or you're not?
I am.
Yeah, no, they're eliminated. Since we filed the application, we tried to do it before the application was due, but the architect was unavailable, so we've changed it, the application.
Okay, so the request tonight is 15 feet where 30 required in the front yard, and that's it?
That's correct, Madam Chair. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
great. Any questions? Mr. Soto?
Attorney Crusaden, is this the house that, in November, that the roof was up there above what was required? And Stephen was going to work with the architect? Do I have the right hearing here, or no? No?
No, I don't think that's the...
Do you have any architectural views of the house? Because I remember
Yes,
what it
if
looked like.
Mr. Sulkus can scroll down, we have some elevations towards the end of the PDF there, or the city link. Oh, there you go. So it's 2.5 to 3 stories. It's 2 stories plus an attic, but if you look at the side elevation, that attic or third story doesn't go all the way down, doesn't go, yeah, there you go.
Who's the architect on this?
I don't know, David, if you can scroll over.
Oh, yeah, no, it's a different architect, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I got the wrong hearing.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, any other questions for the attorney? Mr. King?
Just to confirm now that the side setbacks, you're taking out the stairs, and now the setbacks are compliant on the sides.
Correct. Whatever the design, we had submitted the revised plans, I don't know if the house was made more narrow in that spot or the stairs were removed, but we're not asking for those variances.
Okay, look, yeah, because I was gonna ask you when I was looking at these plans that it looks like on the side shots of the house, it looks like the stairs are tucked in.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
correct. Yeah.
All right.
That's a change you made, correct? Because I think they were sticking out before, yeah.
That change and then
Right.
cutting the
Yeah,
garage
I think that was
4
one
feet.
of the things we suggested.
That is, Mr. Enig had mentioned that as one of his comments as well, yeah.
Okay, great. Any other questions? All right, we will take comment in support of the application, so Attorney Crusaden, if you want to read those letters.
Yeah, these are brief. I have one from Mr. Hurwitz, Daniel Hurwitz, who actually owns 3 properties in the immediate area. He sent an email today, Dear Madam Chair and members of the board, my name is Daniel Hurwitz, and I'm a neighbor and landowner on Beach Avenue and Swift Street. I am writing to support the owners of 9 Beach Avenue in their variance request. Consistent with the neighborhood, the proposed structure is in keeping with the setback, size, and scope of the other houses on the south side of Beach Avenue. Moreover, the current home predates the current building codes and zoning regs. Therefore, an update to current codes and conditions would be beneficial for the neighborhood and home itself, and that's Mr. Hurwitz. We have Laura and Norman Kaplan from 17 Beach Avenue. To whom it may concern, we are in support of the zoning requirements that the Ackermans are requesting for their renovation. And I have a letter from Mr. Rocco Perfetto at 5 Spencer Street. To all concerned, I am in agreement in support of Ackerman's 9 Beach Avenue variance. I think it will be a compliment to the neighborhood. And then we have a Dr. Shapiro, who's also here tonight, but sent a letter in support. And I guess I'll just read it real quickly for the record. Dr. Shapiro, 11 Beach Avenue is the property he owns. To members of the Zoning Board of Appeals, as I've stated in a prior letter to Andy Ackerman, I'm in full support of his project to build a new home on this property at 9 Beach in Woodmont. Our families have been neighbors during summers for about 65 years, and I consider Andy, his wife, Deborah, and their extended children and family dear friends. I am a co-trustee Of our family's property at 11 Beach, which is my father's trust, I believe that our beach location is a special place, and any improvements to properties on the beach is additive to the neighborhood. A few years ago, the property at 13 Beach Avenue was razed, meaning raised, R-A-Z-E-D, and a beautiful home built now exists for the Hurwitz family. I have no objection to the Ackerman building plans for the site and look forward to the finished project. That's it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else speaking in support of this application? Great. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record and proceed with your comment.
Stephen Atlas, 12 Beach Avenue. I live across the street and one house over. We've lived at 12 Beach for over 6 years. And over that time, there have been 3 houses on the south side that have had major renovation or new houses. And all of them have come closer than 30 feet. And I think at this point, it'll probably look nicer to have Andy's house come forward. It'll be more in line with the street. The house itself looks quite beautiful and will improve the block. And in addition to that, with extra parking, he can get his big truck off of the street, which will also be very nice. So we support his application.
Thank you. Anyone else speaking in favor of the application?
So, I'm Dr. Spiro, Mark, and attorney read the letter that I wrote to you guys. My only addition would be that I think that the neighborhoods have changed, obviously, and most of these homes that are probably 100 or more years old have had difficulty, would have difficulty conforming to your now rulings. So that said, it seems as though the request by the Ackermans is pretty in line with what the rest of the properties have done in that beach area.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else speaking in favor? Is there anyone opposed to the application?
Hello, my name is Kevin Cleary, 10 Beach Avenue. I'm opposed to the application to kind of address what one of my neighbors said about houses on the street approaching closer and closer to the road. He's right. And Beach Avenue is becoming more of an alleyway than a street. Once the views we had in the water and open spaces are pretty much gone. A lot of the properties are so huge that they appear to be like the bow of a battleship hanging over the streets. And listening to the Ackerman's attorney talk about a legal hardship, it struck me that the hardship is that the property that they designed is too big for the land. There is no hardship as far as I can see. There's no peculiar characteristic or unique characteristic of this property that would result in a hardship if they built the property according to zoning regulations. There's a house there now, and a new house can be built within the existing footprint and within required setbacks. The variance request strikes me more as a convenience to the landowners and a way to get around planning and zoning regulations that I abided by when I built my house. And it seems more of a convenience to them and really has nothing to do with a hardship. I mean, the house can be built, you know, the property is a beautiful piece of property. It's flat, it's pretty much a rectangle. Couldn't ask for better. So I oppose it on those grounds. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else opposed to this application? No? Okay.
Again, for the record, Kevin Crustaden, if you look at the map that's there, you can see the garages that align the street on the other properties. You start over there, I think that's 5 Beach, and go down. A lot of the garages on the street because that's how those are pre-existing. I don't know if they were pre-existing legal non-conforming. I think at least one of them were, but they've all been rebuilt. So the garage that we're asking for, or the distance from the street, is actually further back than a lot of the other garages that have been either rebuilt or previously existed on the street. And as far as the legal hardships go, the standard's not you can build something else or you might be able to, that's a standard that applies if you're claiming that there's no economic value to the property. The legal hardship is the fact that the property is extremely narrow and the fact that we have about, I think, what the percentage of the lack of usable space is compared to what's, the zone requirement is R12.5 and we have less than 7,500 usable square feet of land. And we also have a flood zone that, for a lot of different reasons, National Flood Insurance Program reasons, Milford Building Code and State Building Code regulations, that we're pushing the property away from it. So we can't construct the proposed structure, which is otherwise 100% zoning compliant, and will be building code and flood zone compliant as well, because of those legal hardships that are specific to this property and not that do not occur in other properties in the zone citywide. So there are several legal hardships here, sufficient if the board wanted to grant the variance that support that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Mr. Soto?
Hey, David, could you zoom in on the garage and show me where the front wall is? Just zoom in a little more because I can't make it out. Okay. So that black line is right there is the front wall, and that's 15 feet. So it's back quite a bit from the existing garage on the left and the right properties. Yeah. It's quite a bit back. The other one on there, yeah, okay. Thanks.
Attorney Crusaden, how are you this evening?
Good, thank you.
Just to confirm, because I'm looking at the plans, you were originally at 10.8 feet in the plans. Now you've pushed it back to 15. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? No? Yes.
Just one thing, when houses don't are
Can you
bigger
please,
than what they
excuse
should
me, can you please state your name and
Oh,
address for the
my
record?
name's Leslie Cleary. I live at 10 Beach, right across the street.
And are you speaking in opposition to
Against.
this? Okay.
Yes, because I know that they're trying to squeeze a big house onto a little piece of property, but the house maybe doesn't have to be quite as big. And you don't have to have a garage. So that's my take. I mean, I think
Thank you.
it's already been litigated on the property next door, so I don't know what the issue is, but
Okay, thank you.
So for the record, Kevin Crusaden, the legal hardships are what I had stated
Yes,
before. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the board? All right, this hearing is closed. Mr. Soto, if you will, but...
I already
eliminate-
crossed off the side yard percent
Perfect.
projections, correct?
Yep.
Okay. 9 Beach Avenue, I move to approve the request to vary section 3.1.4.1 to 15 feet where 30 feet required, all for construction of new single-family house with garage, surveyed by A. Flanagan, 12/16/24. What did I say? 15?
You said 15 to 30, but if you could...
Oh, it doesn't say front yard, so, okay. I'll read it again. 9 Beach Avenue, I move to approve the request to vary section 3.1.4.1 to 15 feet where 30 feet required for front yard setback, all for construction of single-family house with garage, surveyed by A. Flanagan, 12/16/24.
Second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion to approve and a second. All right, so at the November meeting, it was discussed and proposed that the applicant decrease the front yard variance request by 4 feet, and we are at 4 and change now. And we also eliminated the side yard setbacks. That's pretty significant. I do appreciate the neighbors' concerns in opposition. However, I am particularly moved by the fact that we are working with a flood zone property. The usable space, according to Attorney Kristaden, is well under the minimum required for the zone. It does create a hardship, in my opinion. This is a pretty minor, it's amazing to me that so few variances are being requested. It's just one, it's just the front yard. The side yards have been eliminated on a very narrow lot for the zone. I think it's a pretty good compromise from what was presented and discussed in November.
I agree with the chair. I appreciate that the setbacks on the side have been eliminated. Also recognize the bend in the front property line as well, and the fact that the flood zone issue makes the lot smaller use. I think this is also where this garage is placed as an improvement for that side of Beach Avenue. A lot of the garages on Beach Avenue are right on the sidewalk. This looks like a good construction.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I think they did a good job on it.
Okay, move to a vote. Mr. King.
With the motion.
Mr. Wolf.
With the motion.
Mr. Soto.
With the motion.
Mr. Montano.
With the motion.
And I'm with the motion. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay. New business, old business, staff update.
Stephen was under the weather this evening, so that's why I'm here. I forgot to mention that. But we expect him back at the next meeting.
Wonderful. Happy to have him back and happy to have you in his place.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we need an acceptance of the minutes from the December meeting. Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
Second.
Okay. Great, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Nay. Okay, great. Do we have any applications for next month?
There's the appeal that may or may not show up again, and I believe there's one more that we've gotten partial information for.
Partial information. Okay, great. All right, with that, then motion to conclude the meeting.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you.